Golisano Institute of Sustainability, which is a part of the Rochester Institute of Technology. It's in Rochester, New York. And as part of EPA Climate Showcase Grant that was afforded to us, actually originally it was given to Monroe County, which is part of the Rochester greater area. The grant was subsequently transferred to us because they understood that we could develop a closed loop waste cooking oil to fuel system at the university. Rochester Institute of Technology is a school of 18,000 undergraduate and graduate students, so that's a lot of fryer oil. The school approximately purchases wholesale 4,000 gallons of soybean-based biodiesel, and it's spread throughout, I believe, 6 major cafeterias and then 3 smaller coffee shop cafeterias.
You mean oil?
The oil, yeah,
Okay.
the 4,000 gallons.
12,000?
4,000.
4.
Sorry. So before I talk about actually what we're doing, I just want to talk about our building because it's actually pretty remarkable. Thomas Golisano, who is the original founder of Paychex, donated $10 million to start the Golisano Institute of Sustainability, along with the National Institute of Standards and Technology. They generously donated $13 million to the building for a total of $38 million. The makeup difference in the money there are from our corporate sponsors, Staples. We have a Staples Innovation Lab in the building where they just focus on renewable office products. Another corporate partner is Caterpillar, Bausch & Lomb, and Xerox as well. You can find more about the building systems on that information sheet that I handed out, but some of the very notable sustainable energy things that we focus on are 400 kilowatt solid oxide fuel cell that runs on natural gas. It's 90% efficient in comparison to a natural gas burning power plant. We have green roofs, we have green walls. It is a LEED Platinum certified building. So we are in the realm of trying to be at the forefront of sustainability and environmental considerations. This is kind of a visual flow chart of what we actually do and kind of our process of starting up and getting all the stakeholders involved in this process. So like I said, we have 4,000 total gallons of soybean-based biodiesel, or excuse me, waste oil as our feedstock that the school buys each year. We subsequently transfer that with a pickup truck from the cafeterias. This all I'll show in pictures, so you'll get a really good idea of what we do. We transfer it to our facility, and we have a BioPro 190 from Springboard LLC. The BioPro has a 50-gallon capacity, 50 gallons of waste oil for approximately 1-to-1 ratio, so 50 gallons of waste cooking oil goes in for 48 gallons of biodiesel that comes out. Our operating costs are, of course, methanol, potassium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide, sulfuric acid, wages, electricity, and water, of course. After a 24-hour cycle period, the automated BioPro produces biofuel, biodiesel, and glycerin. I would like to note that on our campus, there's more anticipation about the soap than it seems like there is for the fuel. The school purchases Gojo refillable plastic soap containers that go into the foaming dispensers, and they pay $12 per plastic cartridge, basically. And soap is a necessity on campus, and with 18,000 students, they see the potential of offsetting soap procurement. So a lot of our research as well is not only with the fuel, but purifying and decolorizing soap for the university. The biodiesel, we plan to use the biodiesel in 2 manners. Another person in my working group is dealing with biodiesel for space heating application, and I'm dealing with biodiesel for the vehicular application. The university purchases wholesale ultra-low sulfur diesel for about $4 a gallon, which is pretty expensive, but it is expensive in upstate New York. And we approximately purchase around 9,000 gallons a year of diesel. They only have 14 diesel trucks, or primarily ran off, petroleum gasoline. So there's not a lot of diesel vehicles, there are a lot of diesel golf carts, lawnmowers, which we hope to extend the project to after developing the methodology. So these two pictures are basically what our lab looks like. On the first floor of our building is the fuel cell and biofuel test bed. This upper right picture is basically our corner. We have the BioPro 190 from Springboard. That's our automated processing unit. We have a conical separation tank, which we put the raw cooking oil in to separate all solids and waters. And we drain that off at the bottom, and then that's processable oil. We have dry wash towers. We're not planning on using them for vehicular usage, but we're going to use them for the space heating fuel usage, because methanol in space heating fuel is not necessarily as important as methanol in automobile grade quality biodiesel. So that's our lab setup. That's where we make the biodiesel. This bottom left, this is in the adjacent room. This is going to be our soap production area. All new equipment. We're very, very excited about this. So this was actually our first biodiesel collection run. This happened in mid-June. The pickup truck that you see is actually, this is our laboratory technician. That's his pickup truck. We weren't able to get a vehicle yet to do the transporting of the fuel from the cafeterias, so we borrowed his pickup truck. What we did was we used 5-gallon plastic containers. We used the electric pump that was actually provided to us from the conical tank from Utah Biodiesel. And basically what we did was we pumped out from their oil storage containers with the electric pump into these 5-gallon plastic containers. This was our first run. It's rudimentary. It's not going to be how it is when we make the final process. We do have buy-in from facilities to use a vehicle that they actually just purchased. It's a 1993 Ford Diesel F300. And we like this as well because we can use biodiesel in it and we can close the loop even more. We're going to retrofit the back of this flatbed with totes, strap them down, and instead of using 5-gallon plastic containers, which is very time consuming, we'll get something like a 50-gallon container that we only need to fill once. And feel free to stop me with any questions.
So how much did you pay the guy from car wash to wash out?
He actually doesn't mind. He has a big, big dog that was really, really excited about the fryer oil in the back of his pickup. So,
I probably enjoyed it.
yeah, the dog really, really liked it. But yeah, we hope to retrofit this vehicle. We hope to fill with biodiesel as well. So when we do our overall life cycle assessment, it reduces the amount of greenhouse gas emissions from fossil diesel. So I like pictures because pictures say a lot more than words. This is a pictorial representation of basically, once we get our oil, how are we going to fill it in the van. This is, on the top left, this is our incoming oil in the conical tank that I showed you in our lab setup. And what we do is we collected, the BioPro is a 50-gallon capacity. We collected around 55 gallons from the cafeteria first run, just to consider the fact that there could be solids in there, it could be some water. So we let that settle for 24 hours. What we noticed after we titrated it titrated to 4.42% FFA, which is, it's not bad. It was actually pretty nice looking oil. They turn it over once per week, even in the summertime when they have less demand for food on campus. But it was actually pretty nice. There was not a lot of water, not a lot of suspended solids in there. We didn't drain a lot off actually at all. That oil then becomes oil that we can process and put into the BioPro. It's an automatic reaction. We literally push start. You add catalyst, sulfuric acid, then you have electricity, and then you have a finished product 24 hours later. We also have on-site diesel storage tanks, which is very, very convenient. The vehicle that we're going to be testing the biodiesel in, facilities and maintenance service doesn't want us to use more than B20 in the van. On a previous Department of Transportation product, they were using B100, and it blew all the gaskets and blew all the seals on it. So they don't want to pay $8,000 again for that, so they've maxed this out at B20. I'm okay with that because that's what you find primarily is B20 on the road for vehicle quality fuel.
Got a question on the van.
Yeah, go for it.
That really 2007?
That's a 2007, yeah.
Is the DPF off of it then?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Go ahead.
That's a V10, it's a gasoline.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It's the I think it's the V8 Super Duty or it's the V10 Super Duty. Whatever one is the diesel. It's an E350.
2007.
It's the 2007.
Should be a 6.4 liter diesel.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a typo. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're good. It's just.
Yeah. So it's a V8, I think.
Yeah.
It's a V8. Okay. It's a V8. Excuse me. But that's a 2007 Ford E350 V8. So we've actually purchased diesel. We're blending the diesel on site in lab using 10-gallon day tanks. We draw the diesel in through the lab. We pump it into the fuel card, and we're splash blending. The van uses approximately 60 gallons a week, which at B20 would be 12 gallons a week. So because the BioPro has 48 gallons working capacity, that means how much it yields at the end. It works out perfectly where we do about 1 collection a month and 1 process batch a month. So we understand the supply and we understand the demand directly.
So, sorry, can you go through those numbers again? You do 1 batch a month?
1 batch a month. So the van takes 60 gallons a week. And because we're doing B20, it would be 12 gallons.
So you're not taking all the oil then? So there's
No.
4,000
So
gallons, 'cause that would be 80.
our project under the EPA grant is to really demonstrate that it's economically and environmentally viable for the school to undertake a project like this. So part of the economics behind it is, yes, the price per gallon is going to be less, but the byproduct of glycerin, because you can offset the cost of the soap procurement, that makes it more economically viable to the university. The university also has a climate commitment plan. By 2030, they want to reduce 50% of carbon emissions, which is a big task, but this is just one step in reducing the carbon footprint of the university. Go ahead.
What was the year of the van that had seals and gaskets on it?
This was the van.
Wow, that shouldn't happen.
I know. The head maintenance guy refuses to say if it was caused by biodiesel or diesel, but everyone else who works for maintenance behind the scenes is very adamant that it was biodiesel. I mean, there's causation, but there's no correlation. It's one of those things. So a lot of them are old timers, and this is part of what I do is the project management of dealing with the people who are set in their ways. We don't want to do this, and go ahead.
In your middle bottom picture, is that carpet?
No. It's actually a recycled material. It's a type of it's a laminate. It's recycled material. It does look like carpet though. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not though. It's hard
I
floor.
mean, the only thought was inside drywall and carpet.
No.
Just prep on this. We'll have a spill. I know that sounds like it's going to be bad, but it's going to happen.
No,
So
we've
you
already
planned
spilled.
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a lot of pig mats and
Okay.
we have a lot of secondary containment. So
You
yeah.
prepare to spill as much as you have in there at one time.
Really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've only done.
80 gallons
win.
We're really in the beginning of this. We've only, like I said, that was our first collection. We haven't even retrofitted the new truck that we're going to use. So, any advice you have is great. I love to hear it. So,
Sorry, that's a tough one, but that's.
we have a lot of oil absorption pads. So, hopefully that'll be all right. And then once we have our splash blended in our portable fueling cart, they back up to our dock, which is on the east side of the building, and we fill it up. We've been recording how many gallons per fill they do of diesel, so we can compare it to the baseline, and we can compare miles per gallon using diesel, 100%, and then miles per gallon using B20. So that kind of Okay, go ahead.
When you had an issue with the van,
Uh-huh.
did the mechanics pull the DPF off of it? Or do you know?
Like I said, when they were filling it with B100, it was a Department of Transportation project in 2008, maybe. I'm not exactly sure
I'm
of the
just
date.
wondering if there's an issue where pressure builds up, or if it's.
I've read that the Fords are not good with biodiesel. I've seen numerous people. Doesn't matter what model year you have. The Econoline vans.
I've got I've got a 2002 and a 2011.
And they're
both of them
fine?
are great on B100.
I don't get it,
You got a
honestly.
7.3 and a Scorpion, that's why. You don't have a 6-liter, a 6.4.
Did you run any tests on the biodiesel after you produced it before you put it in there?
Yeah, so we did a simple 27.3 test. We plan to send in our samples for ASTM just because of the amount of money that the EPA has given us, and they're concerned. They want us to produce ASTM quality fuel, and we want to produce ASTM quality.
Was your 27.3 test, did it show?
It was fine. Yeah, there was no emulsion, there was no oil settling. It was not cloudy at all. It was pretty good. Okay, so that's kind of because I'm in academia, we're looking for the data acquisition. The driver doesn't know, but his van is wired. His van is wired. His van has GPS, it has GSM, and it has onboard diagnostics. As part of a sustainability student, we don't want his driving habits to change. We want him to drive normally. This van is heavily utilized. It's used as when the packages come into shipping, it's for package delivery, and then it's also for visitors if they need to get around campus. Campus is just a huge circle, literally. It's a 3-mile loop, and the van literally just drives that loop. So some of the data we've been getting are, number of idles, total miles driven, average idle time, average miles per transit. All these statistics will help us kind of make a full greenhouse gas profile of the van ever since we've been tracking it, ever since we've been monitoring it. It's utilized so much that we think it's a good fit for this project and really studying its effect. It's a good fit for us. Another part of the data acquisition is emissions. The EPA is really, this is what they want to know. They want to know how are the 6 criteria air pollutants that they publish, what are the differences that we're seeing from full diesel and B20. So we have a flexible gas analyzer from Snap-on. We plan to run a drive cycle. You can put this in the vehicle. It has a battery, and then we also plan to run idle tests as well.
Just a quick question on that van. Does it ever get out on the freeway and just gun it?
No. It doesn't leave campus. It literally just does the loop all day.
So your DPF never really gets hot then?
That's what I'm assuming.
Shouldn't have
Yeah.
DPF on that truck.
2007.
Yeah, there shouldn't be a DPF from 2007.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it should be a 6-liter for, there should be a DPF from 2008. They got the 6.4 liter. That's a 6-liter.
Okay. As part of the research extensions of this, and what we're hoping to publish is a full LCA of biofuel production at RIT with the system boundary around the school. So we know the inputs, we know the demand for the fuel, so we think that we can make an ISO compliant LCA on biofuel production for RIT. And this kind of, by inventorying all the electricity, all the water, all the emissions, we can really pose an environmental conversation with the school, which is what they're concerned with.
For your LCA, are you considering that the raw materials start at 0 with the collection of the oil?
Mhm.
That's what we do too.
Yeah,
in our-
we're not considering the upstream. We're just considering we have the oil. We're just going to start with the oil. So we're just trying to figure out the allocation issue of the glycerin. That's what we're trying to figure out. So if anyone likes LCA, I love to talk LCA. So the second thing we're doing is an energy return on investment, which has been published widely for dedicated feedstocks for biofuels. An energy return on investment, for people who don't know, is the amount of energy you get out over the total amount of energy you put in. So it would be more marketable in an energy sense if that number is bigger than 1. We think that it's going to be bigger than 1 because of all the, we're not changing dynamics. We already have the oil. Someone pays us 50 cents a gallon for the oil now, so why not just use the oil to our benefit? So we think we're going to get a value higher than 1. And then as far as fuel is concerned, the school wants to know, obviously, know a price per gallon. With wages included for 2 master's students, we've calculated a $2.83 per gallon. That's $15 an hour for both of us. And I mean,
Is that throwing any taxes on top of that? Or do you
yeah,
have
that
to-
has New York State road tax and
Is it
everything.
probably?
Yeah. So we hope to get it below $2.60 a gallon. The school pays somewhere in 4 and change. So, and then we also hope to do payback periods on all the equipment for the university as well.
So what are you valuing the oil at?
What do you mean? What am I going?
What, in that $2.80 a gallon, like how much of that is the oil?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, the way we calculated that was we simply, okay, we pay this much for methanol, we pay this much for all the chemicals, all the electricity, all the wages, and then the tax of it.
Okay.
We're just
We're assuming the oil's free.
So that was free.
essentially.
Because
That's
it's a waste product.
yeah. We're considering it free.
Is it like, I mean, so the school doesn't like sell it at this point? It's like,
No, what they're the render in our area is called Baker Commodity.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they own the city of Rochester basically, and they pay us I believe it's 50 cents a gallon.
So
And yeah, the vats you saw us pumping out of, those are theirs. They're
Right.
heated. They stay heated. They come with a huge truck and they vacuum siphon all of the oil out.
So so basically, so you're losing 50 cents a gallon, I guess.
Yes.
You know,
For the
in
school,
potential
they buy
revenue.
4,000, so that'd be 200.
Doesn't that need to show up in 280?
Yeah.
$3.
Yeah.
So 30 something.
I think for the school, it's clearly and most definitely cheaper than what they're buying diesel at.
Yeah.
The economic benefit comes when you displace the soap. That's what we've kind of realized at RIT. The school is large enough where they purchase enough soap where if we were to meet even half of it, it would still be economically viable. Because the school has this climate commitment plan, they're also really into this idea of the transportation offsetting. So, yeah.
Yeah, the LCA could definitely help. make
Yeah,
the argument
that's
that-
really the only quantitative way we've found to kind of show the university
Yeah.
the environmental benefit. Excuse me. So, yeah, that's it, guys. That's my contact information. We love to give tours of the building. If anyone's in upstate New York, wants to come visit, feel free to email me. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me.